Welcome to Saturday's video. We're still in sunny South Florida as the guys are in SEMA. We'll show a little bit on them.
Welcome to Fremont. What do you think of
Yeah, it looks like they're having a great time. So in the meantime, I decided to visit Condor Speed Shop. My buddy Carlos out here has been making great parts for BMWs, from crappy smashy cars to beautiful mints to race cars to drift cars. Let's say what's up. Yo,
what's up?
What's up, Carlos? How you doing?
Good, real good. Come on in.
Bro, this shop is insane. Last time I visited you, it was like a small mechanic shop / you had the parts there and whatnot.
Yeah, it was a smaller bay, about the size of just this one section here. Yeah, we've grown a bit over the past few years, trying to keep busy and...
Yeah, for sure. It's super sick. Like, you get presented with an E30 right away. E30 M3, is this a real M3?
It sure is. Long-term project car.
Bro, I love the skateboards up there.
Thanks, that's Christina's big fan of the boards. She's always searching and trying to find different BMW specific.
So those are like different brands and stuff?
Yeah, you got Garage Welt up there, Elephant, which I don't know if they're still around.
Cool, and you got all the shirts up there and stuff. This
So,
place is a vibe, man. Like, it's really nice.
So the shirts, just so you know, if you start on the top left over there, is our very first shirt that we made back in 2007. Every shirt after, we put them up on the wall and they're in order of each shirt design.
I'm looking at this office over here. The colors are catching my eye. It's very warm and cozy in here. Hi, how you doing?
Keep a nice, comfortable ambiance while we do our work. And we got our pups over here. This is Ray and Leia.
So the first time I came over, you were a big E30 guy,
Yeah.
and like just a few E36s. So now it's E90 stuff?
So yeah, the E30 over the years has gotten a little bit more expensive and harder to find. Parts are harder to find. So as a race car, when you crash one or if something happens, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to find the spares that you need, keep them running over the years. Spec E9X came about as a concept to create a racing series similar to Spec E30, but using a more modern platform. You know, the E90, E92 platform right now is kind of at the bottom of its like price point. They're super cheap. You can pretty much find them all over Facebook Marketplace for a couple grand, 2, 3, 4 grand. And then if you go to the junkyard, they're all over the junkyard. So you can find all kinds of parts. You can find engines, fenders, body panels if you need them. It was kind of the next 3 series that we've started to focus on over the past few years and develop parts for it. We've developed engine mounts, brake lines. We have polycarbonate windows, suspension bushings, diff bushings, subframe bushings, all kinds of stuff. Basically, you can grab an E90, E92, and we can provide, Condor provides maybe 85, 90% of the parts that you need in order to take it to the track and either build a track car or a drift car. Kind of all very similar, but they all do different things. This is Nick Katakis. He works here. He takes care of all of our product fulfillment, orders,
customer service, pack all the orders, inventory,
make
a
sure
little bit of everything.
Good stuff. Nice to meet you, dude.
Likewise.
Yeah, so this is your whole operation over here?
So this is basically our machine room over here, where we make most of the parts that we sell. Probably 80 to 85% of Condor bushings are made here at this location. So this lathe right here was the first piece of machinery that I bought when we first started the business. Probably have had it for 12 years. Originally, we used to make all our parts by hand in small batches.
On this machine?
On this machine. We would make batches of 10, batches of 20 parts, and originally they were all E30 parts, right? Because that's the chassis that we started with. We would make our subframe bushings on this. We would make our engine mounts, transmission mounts, differential bushings, all of that original stuff we would make here. And as we grew, so did the demand for more parts, right? For higher quantities. Yeah, it was always a goal of mine to sell parts or to make parts in the US, right? I never wanted to go to overseas to make any parts. We take a lot of pride in the fact that, you know, Condor bushings, any engine mounts that you may buy, or transmission mounts, or brake lines are made here in the US.
So you got all the cylinders.
These parts are in progress. These are the base of a engine mount for E34. So E34 M3 engine mount. We still have to tap these holes here, but basically, once we tap them, we'll set a piece of either UHMW for our solid engine mounts, which are designed for the track, for racing and drifting, or we'll put a polyurethane top on it and make a more street version.
Cool. So you start off with the base, so that way you can pick or choose, but that's pretty much the shape of what it is already?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like how it slides onto the subframe and has like the dowel and whatnot?
Yeah, so you'll have a stud that goes up on this side, you'll have a stud that goes down. It sits in the
like
subframe.
Similar to like another one of these over here?
Yeah, similar.
Something like that?
These actually are designed to have a cage. So we'll put the polyurethane insert on, and then there's a cage that we make that sits on top of there and gets bolted on, keeps everything in place.
Oh wow, that's cool. I see all the cylinders here.
So these are E30 and E36 control arm bushings designed to swap E46 control arms.
Yeah, those are super popular, right?
Yeah, super popular.
Yeah, because you put the insert there, and you don't have to shave down your control arm or do anything weird.
That's right. You use this insert.
Yeah, I remember that was a huge upgrade. Before they started making like the extended control arms, you would just get the 46 arms and pop them on the E36 or E30. On the car that I drove here, I literally have shaved down arms.
Really?
Because that was before I even knew this existed.
No way.
Yeah,
this is a very budget-friendly mod that doesn't, like you said, it doesn't require angle kit. It doesn't require.
It's just to increase the track width in the front.
Yeah, pretty
Good.
much.
And maybe add some negative camber.
Yeah, a ton.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen it do like some sort of plastic material.
Yeah, so this machine makes pretty much the majority of our parts. And the way it works is, well, right now, what you see here is making these same parts we just talked about. We take a solid piece of UHMW. It's a hard self-lubricating plastic. We put about a 36-inch bar in here. The material comes to us in 10-foot long sections. You know, we cut it down to size so it fits in the bar feeder.
Oh, so you just toss it in there?
Bar feeder.
That's it? Oh, whoa.
Takes the material.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, man.
These are called spindle liners. These all go inside the machine, and you basically have to match your spindle liner to your material. So this kind of shows you all the different sizes of the materials that we work with. We cut aluminum, brass, UHMW,
see you have
Delrin, steel.
It's all cylindrical.
It's all round.
Because I guess he started off with the lathe.
That's
and
right.
it just translates over.
It just, majority of everything we make is round. This machine is cool because not only can it make round parts, it also has a milling option. It has what's called live tooling.
Oh yeah, exactly. This is just like when I visited FDF. They had like, you can make flat spots.
Yes. So it has, like right now, that is a live tool, and that tool is drilling an offset hole.
Oh.
So when you have a lathe without live tooling, you can only put holes on center. This machine allows you to make offset holes and then mill them. So we're basically using the live tooling to make these parts.
I love how you can watch like the whole like 3D version of it.
Yeah.
Here, real time. That's wild. All these X and Y axis, crazy. Who programs all of this?
This is all programmed by our resident machinist, machine guru Cam. Cam's over here working on
Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Pretty good. What Cam does is, and how this whole process works, is we have a program that we use where we enter the dimensions of the part and kind of how we want to manufacture the part. We put it in, and we decide what operations the machine is going to use to either turn the outside of the part, drill the offset hole, face the part. It's not all simple where you just kind of plug it in. You have to basically do what Cam's doing right now, which is go through, figure out the feeds and the speeds of the cutting tools. At what speed is that cutting tool going to go in and remove that material? How fast does the end mill need to go into the hole? We take that program, we put it in the CNC as a actual code. and then the machine reads the code and then spits out the part.
Instead of cutting something like from the back, you cut it from the front, and it'll like be a cleaner cut.
That's
it
right.
Might be stronger that way. Like doesn't really do any
Yeah.
weird stuff.
Yeah.
And like when you say it pops out the part, quite literally there are parts in here, huh? Oh look,
Yeah, so
this one's almost at that point right now, right?
yeah, you watch it
I
come
want
out.
to see it come out.
So when we cut plastic, we use a lot of air to help keep the chips out of the cutting path, out of the tool path.
Nice, fresh out the oven.
Fresh out the oven. Pretty much almost finished. Requires a little bit of finish work. We'll deburr this little edge, clean that up, and then they'll get faced. So one more operation on the lathe over there where we'll face it off and make it, you know, nice and smooth, ready to go out and bag up and then send to the customer.
I see you got some Industrial Revolution era machines over here.
Yeah, this is a Bridgeport, probably, I don't know, 50 or 60 years old. We use it for secondary operations. We cut a bunch of our bolts on this for all our engine mount. We also face parts on here. Just anything that second operation that we can't complete on that machine, we'll either do it on this Bridgeport or on the lathe over there. As we looked at this earlier, the Spec E9X, as we've designed parts for every generation, we've kind of kept up with the times, right? So
this is your personal car.
this is my personal
Like
car.
you race in this car.
I do. I built this car 2.5 years ago. We basically raced all over the country in it. We've taken it up to Road America.
Like I saw you that one time at Grid Life.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
CMP.
Grid Life. That was the
Carolina Motorsports
Yeah, Carolina
Park.
Motorsports.
Yeah.
That was the first time they ever did Grid Life there.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
First time I ever did Grid Life too.
Nice.
And then basically got hooked after that. And next year we're going to basically do the whole season.
That's
with them.
is that Time Attack?
It's GLTC, which is a race series.
Oh, okay.
Power to weight with specific modifiers, all one class, which is cool. So every car on track you're racing against. And this car was built out for Spec E9X, but we converted it to fit into the GLTC rulebook.
What are the differences with that?
You can run aero in GLTC. For Spec E9X, no aero.
Oh, okay.
No wing, no splitter.
So would this be considered a wing?
That's considered a spoiler.
Oh, so
right?
you can't have that for the spec stuff.
You can have this for the
That
spec stuff.
specific one.
See that wing up there?
Oh.
That's the wing we ran for GLTC, which you can't run for spec.
That gives you a substantial amount of downforce.
It gives you a ton of downforce, but when you run a wing that big, you also need to have front downforce also. So we developed a splitter kit for this chassis that we ran. And that's actually a new product that we have on our site, full splitter.
This car doesn't
and
have it
some
though, right?
Splitter station, no, it doesn't
But
have
this is a brand new product.
It's a brand new product.
Oh, nice. So this would be just a stock 330?
Stock 330, stock engine, stock 6-speed transmission. It has a 373 diff, limited slip diff, stock intake manifold, stock airbox. Basically, it's all very, very original.
So this is
Now-
just a 3-liter N52, but like one of the early generations of it?
3-liter N52, 2006,
So this,
330.
This is the first D90 pretty much.
Yes, the first D90.
They came out as 330s?
They came out as 330s and 325s.
So what's the difference between the 330, 325, and 328?
So the 325 was like the base model, but it was also a 3-liter. It had less horsepower, still had an N52, had a different intake manifold. That same year in 06, they had the 330, which is a bit more beefy, has a bigger transmission, bigger axles, larger front brakes, larger rear brakes, just a bigger, heavier car. And then in 2007, they came out with the 328, which they detuned the 330 to 328 spec. They took out the 330 intake manifold. And so for the spec series, you can start with the 325, 330, or 328, and then basically you add the spec parts.
So they're all 3 liters, and just the intake is a little different, and whatever other engine parts.
Basically, just the intake is different.
What about the brakes? You mentioned brakes.
So the 330 had the biggest brakes.
So that's okay. You could upgrade to them, but you can run the smaller brakes. and
You
it's
can run
okay?
the smaller brakes.
Okay.
325 had the smallest, 328, and then 330. Most guys are running the 330 brakes, but you could probably run the 328 brakes and still have plenty of stopping power. These are pretty big brakes for the time.
It's really wild how like spec racing is. You build a car to be pretty much exactly the same as your opponent, and then the driving is what actually shines.
That's right. It's all about the driver, and then it's all about car setup, right? Because you can change your alignment, you can change your corner balancing, and then it's the driver. So other than that, the cars theoretically are exactly the same. They have the same tune. Some of the spec parts are headers. We developed these stainless steel headers, which are required for the series. Then you have a 3-inch exhaust. You have to use a specific muffler and a specific collector. And then the suspension is Ohlins. So we worked with Ohlins. This car actually went up to, I think they're up in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And they have a dyno, basically a shock chassis dyno, where you drive the car up onto it and it moves. And basically they valved the Ohlins dampers for this tire and the weight of the car. It's pretty cool. All the Ohlins kits for Spec E9X are specifically developed for this chassis, this car, this weight, this setup.
Cool. So you just develop a whole bunch of parts that are accepted into a spec series.
Right. Spec E9X started as like some conversation between me and some friends about what's the next thing where do we want to race? What do we want to do? Do we want to keep racing Spec E30? Do we want to try to build a Spec 3 or a Spec E46? And we saw these cars at a very low price point, right? They're super cheap. You can pretty much buy them for, $3,000-$4,000. It's pretty cool because the engine is BMW's last naturally aspirated inline six.
Yeah, it's true because everything's turbo now, right?
Yeah, everything's turbo. So they come factory with the 6-speed. N52 is proven to be super reliable.
Yeah, the only thing that goes bad on them is like coil packs.
Right, right. And usually when somebody builds a race car, they'll go through everything and replace all the coil packs. So this car hasn't had any major failures and has been racing nonstop for about 2.5 years.
You've won some races?
I have. I took this to Daytona and won a national championship in ST5 with NASA. ST5 is based on power to weight and modifiers, kind of like the GLTC group that we were talking about. Yeah, it did really well. The fact that we were at Daytona helped because this car has a decent amount of horsepower. On our local dyno, we made 255 at the rear wheels.
Oh, wow.
And
that's just like a stock tune, pretty much?
No, it's not stock. It's aftermarket tuned by Epic.
Oh, okay.
It's a flash tune, but we dyno tuned it, right? So we took this car to the dyno and developed the tune for Spec E9X.
So I see that you still have like stock filters. It's just like a drop-in K&N in there.
That's right. Yeah, stock airbox, drop-in K&N, silicone intake boot.
I see you have a fire suppression. That's like the only thing extra, and then you have an oil, is that oil pressure gauge?
Yep, that's the oil pressure gauge. The fire suppression, you can see that. And then we can check out the inside. We have OMP HTER seat. That's the M rain pattern.
Wow, that thing is sick. And then quick release. Oh, you got an NRG.
Important gauges. Polycarbonate windows.
Yeah, you make these too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the benefit of having like a sedan is that you have the window frame and you just pop these in.
Yeah. Super.
With a coupe, you have it all like flapping around. You got to make make the little support or the whole frame.
That's right. The coupes are much harder to keep in place when you're traveling in an open trailer or that kind of thing. Where these, you can just slide them right into the window frames.
So when it comes to these cars, you don't cut anything, right? You just leave it as it's just bare bones.
So we have reduced a ton of weight. So the inside of the doors here, let's open this door over here. Inside both doors. Actually, all 4 doors. Any additional brackets that were on the chassis were cut.
So technically, you have to weigh a certain amount?
Yes, the minimum weight is 29.75.
Well, that's really light, especially for one of these cars.
The 330 started at 3,600 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do you shed so much weight? Interior, electronics, and
wiring harness.
The wire harness is like 100 pounds at least.
It's a good chunk of that.
So is this stock sunroof lid just glued on?
No, that
fiberglass?
I
can't tell. It sounds like, oh, that's metal. Okay, there we go.
The stock one is glass. So this is a part that we sell. It's a fiberglass sunroof delete.
Oh, you guys sell this?
Yeah.
This sign's really cool.
Yeah, we got that made just to kind of give us a little bit more ambiance here in the shop.
Yeah, and it provides a lot of light.
It does. It provides a ton of light.
Heck yeah, bro. You do some drifting on this?
No, I don't know any drift games.
But you have a Assetto Corsa, no?
No, I don't have it.
What do you race
on
this?
So this runs iRacing.
iRacing has drifting in it?
Does it?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I don't know. It's just clutch kick.
Yeah. Yeah, we use this whenever we go out to any new tracks and just jump on and.
So you practice the track before you go racing?
Yeah, especially if it's a track that I've never been to.
Good stuff.
So this is basically a little display shelf that we have where we'll rotate parts in and out of here and just kind of have things that customers can see if they come pick up.
I love how you kept the pallet wood design. Like all your early photos were on some pallet wood. That was like your backdrop.
Yeah, so originally we took a bunch of pictures on a pallet, and that's kind of become
Your branding, pretty much.
Yeah, our branding. All our
Yeah.
photos are on wood and all our parts. You know, the real reason for that was we have white parts, right? Most of the parts are white.
Oh, that's true. So you can't use the white backdrop.
You put it on a white backdrop and it just disappears.
Oh.
It absorbs all the light, there's no contrast, and you just can't see what shape you're looking at.
Yeah, even the way you hang the stuff just to show how it's working, like the steering shaft, E36 subframe over here.
E36 subframe, you have an E46 subframe over on the other side of the TV. We have an E30 subframe on the left. Yeah, just trying to show where, for people who don't know, where the parts install and what they do. Basically, all our subframe bushings are attachment points to the chassis. So what we do is, or what you want to do when you go racing or when you go drifting, is remove all the rubber and replace it with something that is much more, that doesn't move as much, right? And UHMW is a great material for this because it absorbs some vibration, yet it's stiff enough that it will keep everything in place. So your subframe won't be moving from side to side when you're clutch kicking or when you're in a race car, you know, at the limit.
So one thing I want to like point out, you always explain to me that this is not Delrin.
Delrin and UHMW are both plastics. They're both very similar, but Delrin is a bit more brittle. If you were to use Delrin in a part like this, which this little flange here, you could potentially break it off. UHMW, it gives a little bit. So when you're installing these troll arm bushings, you can use a rubber mallet and press them in, or press. When customers order them, they can order them with the
carrier. Lollipop.
Yeah, with the lollipop.
Yeah.
We use a press to press them in. Years ago, we did a test on our rear trailing arm bushings for E30. These are actually leftover parts from that test, but we made them out of Delrin. We tested them, and over time, the Delrin cracked and shattered and broke apart and disappeared.
Oh, wow.
We realized that UHMW is the best material for this because it is self-lubricating, doesn't require any type of grease, and also can withstand tons of abuse, hard impacts, potholes, or rumble strips on the track, and you know, it will never crack, it will never break, where Delrin will crack and can give you problems.
So when you mentioned the cage on the other bushing they showed us first, this is what it would look like?
That's right. So these are caged polyurethane engine mounts. Basically, you have a relatively soft polyurethane core with a cage around it to strengthen it. So you get the benefits of minimal vibration with the additional strength of this cage. So these are real popular for E36, E46. It's a great all-around mount for a street car that may do a little bit of double duty drifting or track days.
Or street driving.
Or street driving. And really,
yeah, sometimes you got to beat the traffic.
And exactly. Yeah. If you're going to do any type of on-track driving, whether it's drifting or racing, time attack, we definitely suggest the UHMW mounts over the VIP line. We also have aluminum mounts. And now these are like, we call it our Armageddon line.
Yeah, this is pretty much what the forums talk about. They're like, this, it's gonna shake your teeth out at wide open throttle, at idle, all this stuff.
And it will.
Yeah,
you know, it's solid mounted.
This you recommend the reinforcement on the subframe, right?
For sure.
Yeah, because this will rip out the subframe.
It could.
What are these?
These are E90, E92, N52, N54 engine mounts. This is our track mount. It's got the UHMW core. This is the mount that is on that car over there. We developed these a few years ago specifically for that car. Actually, the first mount that we made for the N52 was for a 1 Series, and it was developed for a race team in Daytona, which was running the Continental Touring Sports Car Championship. So we made engine mounts for them. We made subframe bushings, diff bushings, a bunch of parts. This was back in 2014, 2015. And then since then, we've refined them into what you see here.
So we got the rear trailing arm bushing, but
Yes.
this one's spherical. So it's a bearing with a plastic the rubber liner to keep the grease in there, right?
Right, so this is a monoball bearing. We have 3 versions of our rear trailing arm bushings, right? So What you see here, the black pieces are limiters. They go on the stock rubber rear trailing arm bushings. They basically sandwich it in place and they stop any type of deflection. They both go one on each side, goes up into the carrier. So these are great for a street car if you want to keep it OEM and you want to keep a soft, cushy ride, but you want to limit the lateral movement of the rear trailing arms, you can install these. They'll keep everything in place. The next version is our UHMW version. These actually come with 2 steel reinforcements on each side. This version here is a toe correct version. You can see it's thicker on one side, thinner on the other side.
Yeah, I actually have these on my car that I drove over here because when you lower an E36, they start getting crazy toe. So this will offset it either in a positive manner or a negative manner if you flip it around, right?
That's right. Yeah, you can install it in either direction.
These in conjunction with the slotted trailing arm brackets.
Yeah, so it'll fix any type of alignment issues that you have.
Yeah, that's great.
So we have a variety of shifter options. This was the first shift knob that we made. Tall shift knob, comes with a removable weight. You can pull it out, have a lightweight shift knob or a heavier one. This is a new shift knob that we just came out with. It's a part of, it actually comes with our chassis mount shifter, solid Delrin. We have a variety of shifter caps. This is just one of 10 or 15. So this chassis mount shifter is it's a pretty cool piece. It is milled from a block of aluminum, all aluminum construction. You have a rubber pad to absorb any type of vibration or anything, keep it out of the cabin. You have a UHMW ball in here and a stock shifter cup. And basically, most chassis mount shifters have a ball bearing in here. What we found with ball bearing shifters is when you are shifting, when you're going through the gears, you have a very mechanical shift. It's like this gives a little bit when you shift. So it feels a little bit softer. It's just easier on the transmission. It's easier to get it in gear. You'll have less chance of missing a shift because this gives a little bit. The other cool thing about it is there's a little screw in here and you can see the beginning of a little hole. There's 3 holes in this shaft where you can change the pivot point, you can change the throw. So you can have, if you want a really tight shifter, you can select a different pivot point and you'll have a much tighter shifter. If you want a little bit longer throw, so it's more like OEM, you move the pivot and you can adjust it based on how you like the feel of your shifter.
So you got brake lines as well. One thing I personally have used is your extended brake lines.
Yes, that's right. We have extended lines for most chassis, E30, E36, E46, great for all angle kits. You actually need a longer line or else when you turn the wheel from lock to lock, you're gonna stretch out your stock line, you might rip it out of the chassis. So we do have extended lines there about 3 inches or so longer than stock, and it's a popular option. You guys have a bunch of them in stock.
All right, Carlos, I probably wasted your whole day talking about Condor parts and all that, but we gotta talk about the E30. How long ago did you get it? Because I know right now the prices are astronomical.
Yeah, it's crazy prices. I picked this thing up probably about 10 years ago. I'm an E30 guy. That's how I started. That's how all of this started, was with E30 parts. And I always wanted an M3 and started looking, found this one on Craigslist. Funny thing is, the guy was drifting it. He took the S14 out, swapped it to S50, gutted the car completely, and he was just having fun. So when I picked up the car, it had a roll bar in it, no interior, even the dash was gutted, there was nothing under the dash, painted white, Supra white pearl, just a different color, not the original Alpine white. It's been a project over the first 4 or 5 years, kind of went through it. It's a rolling catalog for Condor, and it's a street car.
When you started Condor, was that why?
So back in the day, before I ever had my first E30, we wanted to compete in the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge, and we didn't know what car we wanted to build. So we went to the junkyard, and there were E30s all over the junkyard. So naturally, we picked up an E30, and we started building it as an autocross car. We needed engine mounts, we needed transmission mounts, we needed parts for it.
I noticed as you're talking about this, my eyes draw to Grassroots Motorsports. And this is fast and cheap.
That's right, and
Is that your car?
That's it. That's the car we built.
Oh, that's sick.
And the original car that we used to develop all the E30, the line of E30 parts that we now have. When I started, the E30 was the most affordable 3 Series. 3 or 4 years later, after we developed all the parts for it, the E36 became the affordable chassis. They were all over the junkyard. So we started developing parts for it. And then the E46 and now the E90 that you see back there is the most affordable car, and you can find them for pretty cheap.
So you keep like a healthy amount of parts in stock right now?
We keep a large quantity of parts in stock, and I know you guys have a huge stock of our parts too.
Yeah, so we probably wipe you out every time Black Friday comes around.
For sure, every time.
All right, Carlos, so you showed us the ins and outs of Condor Speed Shop. I appreciate your time. I probably took up half of your day explaining everything.
It's all right, no worries. Yeah, it's been great hanging out. Happy to have to show you around the shop and show you our day-to-day and what we do here and how we make our parts and the passion that we have for our BMWs. Yeah, I appreciate you coming by. It's been great.
No, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It was freaking awesome, dude. Like, I love this thing. Even though E36 is a superior chassis, you know?
Yeah.
It all started at E30.
That's right. The originator was the E30.
Especially an M3. All right. Well, thank you for your time, dude. Appreciate you.